All right. What is up? We are live. Got a lot to cover here on the opening deal, but let's get to something I wanted to get to last time but didn't have a chance to. Let's go to Milton on Twitter where he's got his best and worst. Best, of course, going to be Alex Bowman with a 7.5 rating from Milton here out of 10. Started 12th, finished 6th, made steady progress throughout the race, twice to be running up front. Surviving a close call with Kyle Busch and winning a stage, going three wide middle on the last restart cost him slightly. Ryan Blaney getting a 7.5 after starting seventh and finishing fourth. Had a great run, top five contender. Loose wheel in stage three, but he recovered, catching a caution and putting them back in the top five. Ty Gibbs is also getting a 7.5, started second, finished fifth. One of the best cars, tied with the best average running position of fifth. So his average running position is what's going to bump him there. His strategy to stay out after stage two proved to be beneficial as he managed to keep up good speed up front despite not having pace to win. And then Carson Hocevar getting an 8.0, started 18th, finished 32nd. And William Byron getting an 8.0. So William Byron getting your top honors here from Milton this week. Let's go to his bottom five here, and then I'll jump into the news if it'll let me. There we go. John Hunter Nemechek getting a 3.0. Not even gonna. I'm just gonna skip that one. Eric Jones. I'm just gonna give legacy here the same grade, and Jimmy Johnson has to be up there as well. I would imagine. But John Hunter Nemechek started 31st, finished 30th, had no pace, showed no progress, and barely kept up in the top 30. Jones had a top 20 run going when he hit the wall, assisted by a loose wheel. He then spun into the infield grass while in the free pass position, damaging the underbody of the car. Josh Berry 3.0. Berry's race was brief, being wrecked on lap one, suffering flat tires because he couldn't drive back to pit road. NASCAR deemed he was crashed. Berry was out of the race. JJ Yaley getting a 2.0 in the second to last, and Jimmy Johnson. There we go. All three legacy cars. This might be a new deal. I can't remember all three legacy cars being in here before, but Jimmy Johnson getting a 2.0 from Milton here. Terrible qualifying made him vulnerable to being wrecked on lap one. From there, Johnson hobbled around with major damage and went many laps down. So there you go. Check out Milton on Twitter. He does his best and worst, and he does a pretty good job of it, and has his own rating system. So check him out for sure. A whole lot of news to get to here today. So we'll start off with, I guess, to me, the biggest one. Denny Hamlin finally addressed the rumors here of FedEx possibly leaving or reducing sponsorship once again. This from, let me get her name here, Lydia Mee of Newsweek slash, I think I saw this also in the Sporting News. I think they're owned by the same company, but either way, looking at it from Newsweek right here, it's been a fantastic partnership that we've had for nearly 20 years. They're the ones that really took a risk on me when I was running in the Xfinity Series about fifth to eighth every week. That risk paid off for many years and couldn't be happier to be aligned with FedEx. And certainly I got to do great things off the track as well. It's made my career. It made it made it a lot easier being aligned with someone for that long. And we're going to continue to represent on and off the track for the time to come. Now that's an interesting statement, for the time to come. So a lot of people taking that one way or the other. Some people looking at that as saying FedEx is still going to be around for a few races. Other people are looking at that saying that looks like FedEx is going at the end of this year. I think you can read it either way. I think he worded it very carefully there to leave that door open for speculation. I don't think, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs necessarily even know just yet. So I'm thinking they just don't know. But if I had to take a guess on it, if I had to take a wild guess on it, I'm thinking FedEx comes back for at least a few races, but they'll just downscale it down some more. But if they leave altogether, that's going to be a super bummer. But he did finally address it, and that was his statement from it. Indeed. The other big news today, sort of being NASCAR is going to put the old Mohawk, putting a Mohawk. You know, they had the wider, taller shark fin on the back. Well, now they've taken the shark fin and put it all the way back, reaching across the front glass, basically. So it's all the way around the greenhouse of the car, all the way back to the back spoiler now. Uh, and here's what it says from Jayski. NASCAR will institute aerodynamic changes to all Cup cars ahead of Sunday's round of 12 race at Talladega Speedway, the sanctioning body announced Tuesday. Among the mandated additions will be the extended height roof rail, that's what I'm calling the Mohawk, an extended rocker panel skirt, and fabric beneath the right side roof flap. These combined efforts are intended to reduce the chances and effects of a vehicle getting airborne in the event of on-track high-speed incident at the 2.6-mile super speedway. That is NASCAR's statement on it, and I'm reading it from Jayski. Here's the deal. They it doesn't matter what you do. First off, it doesn't matter what you do to the car, first off, because it's Talladega. You're going at such a rate of speed there that it's going to be more likely, Talladega, Daytona, it's going to be more likely to have a car flip over there regardless of what you do to it. So I want to be clear about that. But they know that the bigger issue here is the underbody wing, whatever you want to call it. That, when it gets turned the wrong way, is what's making these cars go. Now, they can do whatever they want to mitigate it, and surely these things will help keep the cars on the ground. I'm not saying that they won't, but the speed you're going at Talladega, you're going to get hit in ways that NASCAR can't come up with on a simulator or a computer. And even if they can, the things that they throw on the car to stop it from doing this, I don't really see it helping. That is the poll question, by the way. Do you think this will help the cars not flip over? Yes or no? So I don't think it really matters what you do, but NASCAR is doing everything but addressing the underbody. And like I said, I know the body completely ties into the underbody now, so you can't completely get rid of it, but you can have a different type of underbody that still connects at all those points, that doesn't have the wing underneath for the super speedways, for the short tracks, and things like that. So there are things you can do. This car is already expensive. Adding another expensive part to it for certain races, I don't think it's really going to cost teams any extra money or anything like that. So regardless of what NASCAR says, so it is what it is. That's sort of the big news today. Then you got some other NASCAR news where NASCAR announced that it is going to have its full speed deal with Netflix, and it also signed on with a group to produce that. And from that, there is another thing where they're going to produce even more content. So that is a great story. So first off, let's start off with the Netflix thing. The Netflix documentary last year, Full Speed, I think was an absolute success. I think it brought more viewership to the early part of the season. Now that we're getting into the playoffs, I think it'll bring probably more viewership into the playoffs as well. So I think overall that's been a positive thing. Was it as positive as F1's? No, but that was lightning in a bottle. I don't know if anybody's going to catch that kind of buzz ever again with the Drive to Survive. But NASCAR's version was successful, and they're doing things like this to get even better. But the better part of that is they've signed on with that company that's helping produce this, and they're going to make even more content. So you're going to see even more content, especially in the off season. I think this will be super helpful to sort of keep it a full season sport, as they would say. Even when they're not on the track, you're still going to have fresh content to peruse and look at in the off season. So that was another big story. Of course, people still talking about the Chase Briscoe Kyle Busch thing. We've covered that, but briefly, my thoughts on that are Chase Briscoe didn't do anything wrong. I don't think Chase Briscoe would have raced like that if it wasn't the playoffs. Some people are looking at that and saying, hey, that's a great thing. We have the playoffs and guys are racing like that now. Some people are looking at it and saying, hey, that's a bad thing. The 26th place car should never cost the first place car a win. And you can look back through history without the playoffs and see where it's happened there before as well, I'm sure. So at the end of the day, I still stand where I've always stood on it. Chase Briscoe didn't do anything wrong, but you don't have to like it. Just like when that guy pulls out in front of you and won't get up to speed on the interstate, and you get jammed in the slow lane, and you can't get by for a few miles. He didn't do anything illegal. He didn't do anything wrong, but you don't have to like it. And going forward with Chase Briscoe, I think Kyle Busch might race him a little bit differently. And that might affect Chase Briscoe's playoff situation from there. So there's always two sides to the coin, right? Kyle Busch is just going to give him the same energy that he's been getting back from Chase Briscoe. I think that's a situation you could definitely see going forward. I don't think he's going to wreck him. I don't think it's that serious or anything like that, but you can definitely give him back the same energy that he's been giving you, right? Especially after Darlington and things like that. So Darlington was a clean race. And Chase Briscoe just has that over aggressive stigma or whatever you want to call it. Reputation, I guess, would be a better word for it. Ty Dillon, full time to colleague. I didn't cover that because I was at Martinsville, so apologies there. Um, so he is going to be full time in the 10 car, 31 car going away. It will be the 10 car, and Ty Dillon will be driving that full time. So keep an eye on colleague. I'm sure they probably have some other things to announce there. And then other silly season news that is far more recent than that. Caden Honeycutt and Nice Motorsports are going to be paired up in 2025. So Caden Honeycutt has a full time ride in the truck series for 2025, and it will be at Nice. And Carson Voppel, pretty much what a lot of people were talking about at Martinsville when I was there for the late model race, a race which Carson Voppel won. He is going to the Xfinity Series and JRM with Bass Pro Shops as the sponsor on the number one car. So we get a number one Bass Pro Shops again. We haven't had that since Jamie McMurray. I want to say, I think that was the last number one Bass Pro Shops car. Could be wrong about that, but that's the last one I remember. So yeah, number one Bass Pro Shops car, Junior Motorsports, so Xfinity Series. So that is starting to round out as well. And what else did I have written down here? Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace and his wife had their child, Bex Hayden Wallace. So there you go. Bubba Wallace is a father now. And with that being said, the poll question is, I think I already read it, but I'm gonna read it again. Will NASCAR's new Mohawk Strip reduce car flips? 27% saying yes, 73% saying no right now. 41 votes in so far, and I'm going to jump into the comments and see what you guys want to talk about. Already got a super chat, much appreciated. Big fist bump for Robin Marks there. Ross won. Someone had a video saying Ross was disrespected as a non-playoff driver. The playoffs suck. I hate the playoffs. I still thinking about not watching. Still love your channel. Appreciate it, Rob Marks. Yeah, I think a lot of people do get frustrated with the playoffs. I did see a story out there where Shane Van Gisbergen said it is the most complicated racing series that he's ever been in his entire life, as far as figuring out how the playoffs work and things like that. So I do have to say I would agree with him there. And then on Denny Hamlin's podcast, they asked Denny Hamlin. I saw this from Elite Precision. He tweeted this out. They asked Denny Hamlin to describe the playoffs in under 2 minutes, and Denny did describe the playoffs, but he still left out a lot of things that are in the playoffs. It is just such an overly complicated thing. Like I said, I'm not necessarily against having a playoffs. Me personally, I would like to have a full season worth of points, but I understand from a TV perspective, you have to sell the second half of the season. So if we have to have a playoff, can we not come up with a little bit of a better version of the playoffs than what we have now? So I feel like that's a fair question to ask as far as the playoff stuff goes. But yeah, full season points to me personally would be great. You can look at all kinds of websites and stuff that compare it to if there were no playoffs, the points would be really, really close right now. If it was the old Winston Cup Latford system, the points would be really, really close right now. So I don't know. You don't necessarily need the gimmick of the playoffs, is what they're getting at. But if you do have the gimmick of the playoffs, you could have a chase version of the playoffs or something like that. Either way. All right. In between the lanes, what's up, my friend? Wild Card Tuesday for Major League Baseball. Indeed, it is Wild Card Tuesday for Major League Baseball. So if you have a favorite team that's in the playoffs, good luck to them, unless they're playing the Yankees, in which case I hope they lose. Shark fin on the window is just another Band-Aid. Yeah, so it's called the shark fin back there, and they're extending it all the way across. So now I'm calling it a mohawk because it goes all the way to the top of the car. So that's why I'm calling it a mohawk. I think I've seen some other people call it that too. But yeah, it's just an extended shark fin. No doubt about it. BB almost called a Martin Truex Jr. win at Kansas at the same time. I hate it for Kyle Busch. Says in between the lanes. Yeah, I would have didn't get a chance to do the live, obviously, because I was out of town, but the pre-race at least. But if I had picked, I would have been way off because I was going to go with Tyler Reddick or somebody from 2311. I was going to go with a Toyota, and man, did I miss that one. I was expecting 2311 to be good there. 2311 was not good there relative to how good they had been. I just knew for sure. I knew for sure that they were going to be good there, and didn't have the same speed at Kansas that you're used to seeing 2311 have. So that's a head scratcher. The 45 car. And I'm focusing on him because he's in the playoffs. The 45 car has just not been the same since he won the regular season championship, and I don't know what's up with it. But they're going to need to turn it around fast. Chrome Diesel, hey, what up, everyone? How are you doing, BB? Doing good, Chrome Diesel. Hope you're doing good as well. What's up, OJ and Toothpaste? 200 miles an hour and you're going to catch air. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's really there's physics and then there's physics. 200 miles per hour. If you get turned the wrong way, I don't care what you got on the car. That thing's going to flip over. That's just to me. You can do whatever you want to mitigate it, but they're doing their best to make it safe, and I want them to make it as safe as possible. I don't want you to get me wrong, but at the end of the day, 200 miles per hour, you're only going to be but so safe. Crystal Sparkles, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. The roof rail is going down. The front windshield, it looked ridiculous. Yeah, and then you get to sort of a situation where you worry about visibility and things like that. Is it going to create anytime you fix one thing, it creates problems in another area. So uh, that's just the way engineering is. You fix one thing and you create an unintended problem over here. So we'll just have to see how it plays out on track. I'm hoping it works. I'm hoping everything goes well. I'm not trying to talk poorly about it at all, but that is what it is. Let's see. Oh yeah, the thumbnail. I forgot the thumbnail. So Oldsmobile Grant Enfinger is listed on the entry list as having an Oldsmobile, and Oldsmobile clearly no longer exists. So that's funny, but it is brought back, and Oldsmobile has been trending. Uh, and that's why. So the picture there is made by Skylar Fox. Follow him on Twitter. He does really good stuff with graphic design. So check him out. Give him a follow. But he put the nose on it exactly how I envisioned it in my head when they said Oldsmobile truck, the Grand Enfinger, when they mislisted it on there. So yeah, that was the other story that I completely missed, even though I probably should have led with it. So yeah, that was a pretty good laugh. So if you're wondering why Oldsmobile is trending, that's why Oldsmobile is trending right now. Agreed. Awesome series, says Crystal Sparkles. Let's see. The word stock car no longer exists in NASCAR, says Robert Key. Yeah, it probably hasn't existed. They haven't been stock for a very long time. Two more non-playoff winners coming up, says one wise guy. Yep. So far, it's been the season of the spoiler. And I think you're going to have that when you have so many drivers in there that got in there by just winning one race and weren't necessarily high up in points. So I was expecting more spoilers this year than we've probably are used to. Milton saying Grant Enfinger to drive an Oldsmobile at Talladega. LOL. So there you go. Milton's on it. What I just talked about. So yeah, that was mislisted on the official entry sheet. That Grant Enfinger will be driving the Oldsmobile, and Grant responded by saying, "Of course, at least they kept me in the General Motors family." So he had a laugh about it as well. Dirty Def, everybody is racing hard, but I get it. If you're a Busch fan, I thought the race Busch made a mistake. If the roles were reversed, would Kyle try to stay on the lead lap if he was in the playoffs? Yeah, I don't see where anybody did anything wrong. I just hate to see the 26th place car take out the lead car, no matter what. I've always hated that, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like you're racing for a championship, you got to do what you got to do. And he got up there, and either Kyle Busch gassed up too early, or Chase Briscoe's aero block pushed him into the fence. It just depends on how you want to look at it, how you want to call it. To me, it's a racing incident, but it's a racing incident created by the playoffs, and you either like it or you don't like it. Like there's no in between. Like a lot of people, I would say from the poll I gave, I think it was close to 70% thought it was fair. Like they didn't think it was dirty or anything like that. But of that like 70%, I would say half of that 70% didn't like it. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, and that's why I compare it to somebody pulling out in front of you in traffic and not speeding up. They didn't do anything wrong, and they're just trying to get in line. But it does irritate you, right? Like if you're Kyle Busch, it does irritate you if you're a Kyle Busch fan. And if you're a Chase Briscoe fan, it irritates you that people are saying your driver drove dirty or should have got out of the way. He shouldn't have got out of the way. He's racing to stay in the playoffs. So that's why I say it's just a racing incident, but a good conversation to have. The damaged vehicle policy, people are still talking about that too, and I've gave my 2 cents on that. But basically, they just need to have a NASCAR official say, "Hey, your car is either good to go back on the track or it's not." So that's the short and long of it. If you want to get the longer version of it, that was on the previous live stream there, so you can check that one out. Hello, everyone. I have returned. What's up, Lovey Barkley? Good to have you back on here. 1400 horsepower saying, what if the rear diffuser packing air underneath as soon as the car gets at a 45-degree angle? I mean, that could be part of it too. I know they put some cloth on the hood flaps on the roof, or not the hood flaps, but the roof flaps. So maybe they'll do something to the diffuser up underneath. We'll have to see. The 48 car is coming, BB, says Jay Campbell. Yeah, 48 cars put the most points or the best finishes, however you want to look at it, since the playoffs have started. So, like I said, I think I can't remember if it was an episode or a live stream. Everything's running together here at the end of the season. But Alex Bowman is sort of reminding me of a Joey Logano type of season where he's going to get warm or hot at the right time. So look out for that 48 because he's when the lights shine the brightest, right? As Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. The lights are shining the brightest, and to be the man, you got to beat the man. Right now, he's beating all of them as far as points go. So we'll have to keep an eye on that 48. The Ross Chastain interview felt it's disrespectful, saying he's missing getting into the playoffs. Says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, like aside from winning a race in the regular season, he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's had a great season. Just you had so many people outside of the top, 16 in points win a race that it's just one of those years. It bumped him out. But Wallace had a good season. It bumped him out. And who else? Who else had a good season? It bumped him out. Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher was another one. Had a great season, top 5 season, probably in points, top 10 at least. And it bumped him out as well. So just one of those, as far as playoffs goes, one of those crazy years where you have a lot of winners that weren't in the top 16. Last week on Kevin Harvick's show, they said he would like a draft for crew members. I honestly thought that was the dumbest idea I ever heard. It's another gimmick, and also raise the salaries for the pit crew, says Escobar. Yeah, so that's when you get into those conversations. I'm glad you brought that up, Escobar. When you get onto those conversations, that's when you're at peak. We need content. That's one of those things you throw out there because you're like, all right, we need content. What can we talk about for 15 or 20 minutes to fill this 15 or 20-minute gap in content? And that's what that's all about. Does he really believe that? Does he really think that's going to happen? Does he really believe that's a good idea? Nope. But they have a show that they have to do every day, and they needed some content, so they came up with that. Never happened. It's not a good idea. It's a stupid idea, and they needed content, and that's all I'm gonna say about that one. Team owners are trying to save money, says Escobar. Yeah, for sure. Team owners are trying to save money. And the next gen car, according at least to Denny Hamlin, is not saving them that money, although they have fewer employees. So it's a weird situation. I don't know. I don't want to go on that rant today, but it's a bizarre situation. It cost a lot of people a job. It cost a lot of people in motorsports jobs, and it hasn't really saved the team's money. That's the short and sweet of it, I guess. How about? And I don't like that it cost that many people jobs and it didn't save anybody money. How about Dale Jr. didn't have Ross on his show this week, despite having the winner on the race on his show every week this season. But this week they mentioned once that Ross won the race. Bizarre, says Dirty Death. Yeah, and I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's anything personal because if you remember back in the day, Dale Jr. was one of the people that wanted to get Ross Chastain an opportunity. In fact, he put him in the 77, the first ever Dirty Mo media car that was sponsored in the Cup Series was driven by Ross Chastain, the number 77 at Darlington in the throwback race. I've got that car somewhere around here. I'll try to put it on display so it can be seen next episode. But yeah, so I don't think it was anything personal against Ross Chastain. I think something probably scheduling wise probably came up and they didn't get him on there. But you never know. You never know what goes on behind the scenes. But I don't think it was anything. I don't think it was anything from Dale's side. I don't think there's any animosity there. Everyone is always going to want more money. That's just human nature, says Next Gen. Did you see the NBR video on Chastain's win as a non-playoff driver? Highly suggest. Didn't realize the winner's interview was all about him not being in the playoffs. Pretty pathetic, to be honest, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, they should focus. It's such a they're trying to push the playoffs. And at some point, you just need to, much like I was talking about with the Kevin Harvick story, at some point, just report what's in front of you. You don't need to push stories or, throw stuff out there just to throw stuff out there. And I'm not picking on anybody. It's just two most recent examples. But the story is Ross Chastain won a race. If you really wanted to ask a question, you would be like, and you really wanted to get some views or something, be like, how come your car is running good and the 99 has seemed to be off the pace relative to your car? That's the question you want to ask if you want to get a playoff question in there. But really, you should just be asking like, "Hey, it's a great win. You had a tough season, didn't make the playoffs, but what are you doing from here on out to set yourself up to make the playoffs next year?" Throw out stuff. You can work playoff stuff in there, but don't be like, "Hey, you didn't make the playoffs." Don't lead off with that. I see where he's coming from. I haven't seen the episode, but I see where he kind of would be coming from on that. It is kind of a bull jive way to to do a victory lane, and not even a victory lane, start finish line interview, I guess. I think rather than preventing the cars from flipping, it just makes the cars more able to withstand the flip. Says Lovey Barkley. Yeah, it'll sort of keep them sideways longer, maybe. I don't know. It's too fast. You're not. It's not. I'm going to say it's too fast. It's too fast to prevent them from flipping. So I don't know. How does it work with the tear off windshield? Says Perry Earl. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Those things are aggravating to begin with to put on. Oh man, do they have to cut them off in the middle now? Maybe you put them on, then maybe you put the Mohawk shark fin thingy over top of the window. Then you take a knife and you score it in there all the way until they rip off, and then you would take that whole section off the other side. That's a good question. I don't know. It's going to be something they have to overcome there for sure. I already saw them putting on the film there for the back bumpers where you beat and bang on back bumpers. So they put that film on there to make it a little more grippy when they're touching bumpers there. So I did see that today. At what point do we rip the band-aid off and run intermediate package at super speedways? They run faster at Michigan and Talladega these days. Hey, there you go. They'll just point to safety and say it's not safety. It's not good for safeties. That's what they'll basically say about that. So I don't know if we'll ever see that. Crystal Sparkle saying, "Go Yankees!" Indeed. Hopefully we get it done this year. Always have a good team, and you never know when it will be our year again. Hopefully this is the year. I'm worried about our pitching a little bit though. Ironically, did the same thing with Chastain winning Phoenix finale last year. Says Napa Race fan. Yeah, nobody even remembers Ross Chastain winning the Phoenix finale last year. As crazy as that sounds, Dirty Def I found that strange too. Says 1400. It's a National Association of Sponsorship Car Auto Racing. Only thing about the stock is the Fortune 100 companies. Chastain, we won a cup race. NBC, who cares? You're not in the playoffs. So yeah, they've gotten Chastain with that basically twice right now. It's like if you're not in the playoffs, you're definitely a second class citizen to the mainstream media, at least right now. Just let them race, says Dan Hagen. That's what I'm saying. Can we just NASCAR brought the car, just let the car be the car. It is what it is. Chase Briscoe loves taking out the number 8 for a win. 22 Bristol Dirt. Also says Napa Race fan. So yeah, Chase Briscoe versus RCR. That goes back a little further than Kyle Busch for sure. Like I said, he was just racing. Like I don't think he did anything dirty or intentional there, but it is what it is. You're not going to be happy about that if you're RCR. No doubt though. Chase Rexco says Napa Racing fan. Chase is worse than Elliot Briscoe. Just kidding. Briscoe is a good driver. All right, I'm with you now. I think Briscoe's a good driver too. He just races really hard, and you either like it or you don't. He's going to be sort of like that Ryan Newman role, I feel like. But when he takes out cars for the win repetitively, no one accepts his apologies. Yeah, that was a tense moment between him and Tyler Reddick at that Bristol Dirt race for sure. I bet you could tell Tyler Reddick didn't really want to shake his hand, but he's like, "We're on TV. If we weren't, I'm thinking if we weren't on TV, he would have got a little bit of a different response there. I bet the rear diffuser is the problem at short tracks too." Says Next Gen. I call for Bowman's job, and he'll get on a heater. Says one wise guy. Hey, some people perform better when the pressure is on. If you look at Corey LaJoie's most recent finishes since he found out that he's leaving that car, he has hit a streak where he's had some good finishes there. He's had a few bad ones in there too, but he's been on a much uh, better streak of finishes since he found out he was going to the other car. And then, of course, now at the other car, he's outrun, at least in the first race, Justin Haley. BB, did you see Byron's Exalta and Raptor scheme for 2025 also available for pre-order? I haven't seen the 2025 Raptor scheme. I saw Exalta, but I haven't seen Raptor. But they do have the Raptor scheme on sale at HendrickMotorsports.com if you want to get the 124. You can get the Elite for 64, and I want to say it's like $50 for the regular on the Raptor if you want that one and don't have it yet. So check that out at HendrickMotorsportsShop.com or whatever it's at. Introducing the 2025 Chevy Nothing. Chevy find new roads. Well, technically, if they're just going to put Chevrolet on it, it would be the Chevy 3 because they had the Chevy 2 Nova, right? They had the Chevy, then they had the Chevy 2, which was later called the Nova, the Chevy 2 Nova. So now it's just the Chevy 3. This will be the Chevy 3 next year, even though it's got a Camaro nose. Chevy 3 Camaro. Winning a Cup race is one of the greatest accomplishments in American auto racing, and dissing Ross for missing the playoffs is very unprofessional on NBC's part. Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people didn't like the way it was handled in Phoenix, and a lot of people didn't like the way it was handled right here either. Uh, and I agree. I'm with the Bush deal, just a racing deal, and I'm a Bush fan. Says Hagan. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it too. Neither driver did anything wrong, and Kyle Busch came out on the wrong end of a racing deal. That's just unfortunately the way it is. Anybody wants smashed watermelon with burnt rubber, as Seaston says in between the lanes. If you notice, the most other racing series with an underbody has holes above the wheels to let the air flow out. GT3s run fins. Yeah, they have these little vents over the fenders for sure, and you can pop them in and out because they break all the time, so you can pop them in and out. That's a good point. That is a very good point, Cody Ledger. I agree. Dale has been a fan of Ross and has said great things about him. Even mentioned Ross and his dad had things in common. Is a huge honor for anybody. Yeah, for sure. I think they have the same. Obviously, Ross is not ever going to be Dale Senior, but they have the same hard nosed personality where they just want to get out there, be very aggressive, not give anybody an inch. I do see them being very similar as far as that goes. NBC is really NBP, nothing but the playoffs. Playoffs need to be restructured, says Dan Hagan. I'd like a restructure in the playoffs as well. The media focuses on drama and not racing. I guess they're bored. As far as that goes, they're focusing on what people click on, which is a strategy, but it's not a good strategy. Drama is gonna bring more views in, but after a while, you sort of when you go down that rabbit hole of chasing drama, you get into Jerry Springer TMZ territory where it's pretty much all you focus on, and you don't talk about the actual sport anymore. So they I think at some point they need to be careful with that. Air does go through the wheels and has nowhere to go, says Baron Von Weebs. Yeah, the maximum amount of turbulence on a moving car is around the wheels. That's one thing I do remember from back in the day in fluid dynamics. I agree. 200 miles per hour. You're not going to stay on the ground, says Dan Hagan. Yeah, that's a fact. I don't know if there's a whole lot they can do about that. At the end of last season, Dale Jr. told Denny Hamlin that Ross was the current driver he most wanted to have on his show. Dale and Ross had been too busy farming. LOL says they're deaf. That's another thing him and Dale Senior had in common. They like farming, or at least farming equipment. Senior would get out there on big equipment, and that's how he just sort of relaxed and killed some time. We've had tons of alterations of the NASCAR fin and NASCAR over the years, and it has done nothing. Why do they think putting a fin all the way across the roof is going to do anything? Says Lovey Barkley. I don't know. You'll have to ask them. I'm sure they'll point to the numbers and say they like what they're seeing. If you if you didn't have any rear diffuser, I bet they wouldn't flip at all. They'd be able to drive on flat tires. Oh, and less dirty air, says Next Gen. I think it may Bubba may win this weekend, says one wise guy. Well, I'll tell you a guy. I don't know if he will or not. He is definitely good at super speedways, but I'll tell you a guy who seemed like every time he had a kid, he won, and that was Darrell Waltrip. I think Darrell Waltrip did it at least maybe once or twice in his career. So Darrell Waltrip, if he can get on board with that, get some of that mojo going, maybe he can get one as well. BB, nice. Nice ad read for the Hendrick Motorsports shop website. Yeah, it wasn't much of an ad read. They just they're getting ready for a Hendrick has a big promotion coming up here at Martinsville. And so when I was at you know how phones work, right? So when I was at Martinsville, since they're doing this big promotion at Martinsville, and I know this because I walked through the tunnel and they've got all the previous winners, basically Hendrick winners of Martinsville in the tunnel now when you're walking through. And if you're on Discord, you saw that video. So if you want to join the Discord, the link will be down in the description somewhere, or down in the chat somewhere at some point. But because I was walking in there, and because Hendrick's doing a promotion there coming up in Martinsville, my phone, of course, kept pushing me HendrickMotorsportShop.com. They've got this, that, and the other kind of sale going on. So eventually I gave in to the phone and I went and looked at it, and that's how I found it. But yeah, no ad reads as of yet on the channel. I'm still yet holding out. Let's see. Unless it's one of my friends, then I'll do one for one of my friends. But no money will ever change hands, at least not yet. It's gonna have we're gonna be a ways away for before that happens. Can you believe Tyler Reddick still claims he would have done the same thing that Briscoe did at the end of the Bristol Dirt Race? I agree with you, BB, but Reddick sounded genuinely not even mad now. Yeah, I don't know. He's not he's changed a lot. I'll just say he's changed a lot from when he first got into Xfinity, and we all do. We all get older and change, but he just seems like a totally different dude now that he's over there at 2311. So it's just been an interesting change. He's gone from sort of a wild man to a button down corporate kind of dude. So it's been an interesting career journey for Tyler Reddick there. 27 time champions, says 1400 next gen, presenting the 2025 Laguna S3 by Chevrolet. There you go, Baron von Weebs. You know what you're talking about there. It would be Laguna would be a good name to bring back. That's one you could bring back and people wouldn't scream and bemoan whatever you did to it because it's not universally beloved. What's actually for Briscoe? 2021 NDRC with Hamlin, 2022 Bristol Dirt with Reddick, 2022 Coke 600 with Larson, 2024 Kansas with Busch. Come on, I have to learn at some point. You have to learn at some point, says an Napa Racing fan. Yeah, he's an overly aggressive guy. He's going to go for it, and he's just not going to be sorry about it. He's always going to be going for it. That's just his MO. A week from today, NHL returns, says in between the lanes in that Elway era Denver hat, says says one wise guy. This is a Durham Bulls hat. Easy mistake. They do look very similar, but this is actually Durham Bulls from the movie Bull Durham. Also, my favorite baseball team, legitimately favorite baseball team, even though it's a minor league team, the Durham Bulls. So yeah, but it does look a lot like the Denver Broncos hat. I will say that, but we won't be wearing. I promise you one thing. Unless I'm like held down and forced to, I won't be wearing a Denver Broncos hat. I'm not about the Broncos life. I had too many bandwagon people when Peyton Manning went over there around my area that started pulling for the Broncos, which made it impossible for me to pull for the Broncos. So it is what it is. Bristol Briscoe was going for the win, and Kansas, he was a lap car, not even close, says next gen. Yeah, the lap car part is what makes it spicy, but you fall back on the he's in the playoffs. He's trying to do the best he can for the playoffs argument there. One thing I want to see disappear is winning you're in and stage cautions. Also, the last race of the season should not be away a champion is crowned. Those are the hot points right there, Escobar. Those are the ones that a lot of people want to see go away. If the media is that bored of racing, then racing isn't their cup of tea. I like racing. The racing clip I sent you a few days ago is why I love auto racing. That's pretty much for the diehards, but they're trying to get I'll just call it the Drive for Survive crowd in there, the crowd that cares about the other stuff outside of racing. That's a lot of it's strange to hardcore racing fans, but there are a lot of people that watch the sport for other reasons other than the racing. They watch it for the drama, they watch it for the personalities. It's just one of those things. Wheel covers will help keep the air from the wheel wells, says Baron Von Weebs. To be fair, Briscoe didn't touch Bush, but dirty air from the 14 did take Bush out, says Napa Race fan. Yeah, the old dirty air aero block, whatever you want to call it. Also, something I'd like to point out is Toyota has never done a blowover. What's that all about? Says Lovey Barkley. I don't know. Why did they do away with the interliners in the Cup cars? I guess because it's such a low profile wheel. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see. I can tell you who will crash this weekend, and I think we all know who it is. Unfortunately, says Escobar. So you're calling the Kyle Larson wreck. So there you go. Chase Briscoe about to have a about to have twins any day now as well. Said he would have to miss it if it happened during the race Sunday, if it's an emergency, which would stink. Says Dirty Def. Yeah, that would be the right thing to do, and that's just a bad situation to be in. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, and hopefully they have a successful birth there. HMS has their 40th anniversary book releasing in October, right before Martinsville, I think, says Napa Race fan. Indeed, they do, and I've already pre-ordered it. That's exactly what I went to the website to purchase, and that's when I saw all the other stuff on sale, and I was like, I'm not buying that. I just came here for the book. Turn your head. Don't buy anything else. You've got enough Kyle Larson hats and T-shirts. Leave it be. Yeah, Bush made a mistake trying to go high. He should have passed low. Yeah, he looked like he thought he was going to have a groove up high, and then Chase Briscoe moved up high late because obviously he's trying to block, Kyle Busch. I don't think it really would have mattered where Kyle Busch went. Chase Briscoe was going to block him one way or the other. But yeah, if you go low, you've got more room to catch the car if you get the arrow push from the arrow block. There's the Discord link right there if you want to check it out. Betting on the 77 on Sunday and maybe the 43. What do you think, BB? Those are not bad picks. Those are not bad picks for outliers. But if you want to go look at it, Denny Hamlin's got the best average finish. Nope, that's not accurate. This is last week's Kansas deal. So here we go, Talladega. That's what I thought. Ryan Blaney's got the best average finish of all the drivers that have raced all the races since 2021. William Byron, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski are going to be your top four. So I would look for one of them to be basically one of your favorites. But those are the outliers. The two you mentioned there, the 77 and the 43, definitely can get it done on super speedways. Aluminum hubcaps for fast tracks. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to some type of alteration of the current wheel that they've got. You can even put aerodynamic fins on the wheels. We've seen that you've seen it on street cars for aerodynamic purposes to get better gas mileage. So maybe do something like that, but just do it in a way that it would reduce the turbulence and maybe help them not flip over. Whatever you got to do as far as that goes. Get your BB merch. There you go. There's the link right there. If you want to check out, get a hat, get a free T-shirt, or vice versa. Yeah, buy a hat and put a T-shirt in there, and the T-shirt's going to be free at checkout. That's the special that's going on right now. Napa Race fan Briscoe takes himself out in these deals too. That's the dumb part about it. A lot of times he does. Napa Race fan. That's what makes you wonder about it. Like I said, this weekend at Kansas, though, I will have to say I think it was just a racing incident. Well, BB, if KFB gets a win and extends the streak, and if he does, what track is it at? I mean, Talladega would be a good one. Like, he's been running pretty good here. I would say, I don't know, all the tracks remaining, he's good at every track. What can I say? The next race is always the race I think Kyle Busch is going to win. So I'll just go with Talladega. Maybe he gets it done at Talladega. I mean, he's been so close this season so many times. It's hard to believe he's not going to punch one in before this season ends. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. It's been a heck of a streak, but I hope he does extend it for another season. I'm driving a Buick, says Krusty. There you go. Krusty going to be in the truck race in a Buick. There'll be a Buick truck and an Oldsmobile truck. What was the Buick? The S10 or Blazer version. I think Buick had the Bravada. I think was like their S10 version. So the Bravada truck would be the Oldsmobile. What was the Buick? I don't know. Rendezvous? I don't know. Whatever the Buick version of that would be. Rendezvous truck. We'll go with Rendezvous truck. Buick Rendezvous for Krusty. Kyle Busch wins Talladega, says in between the lanes. I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping he does. Or at least another playoff spoiler. I'm just hoping he extends the streak because it's just such a cool streak to watch. Let's have a 1v1 battle at Richmond. Briscoe versus Austin Dillon. Who can take each other out first for the win? Maybe you do it like Mario Kart, where you put 3 balloons on the back of the car and 3 balloons on the front, and whoever has the most balloons at the end, or whoever's all 6 balloons or whatever get popped. Maybe that's how you do it. I don't know. Were tires are grooved back in the 60s at all tracks, says Baron Von Weaves. That's a great question. I wasn't around back then. So that's a little bit beyond me. But groove tires, I don't know about a super speedway, but groove tires would definitely help at the short tracks to get rid of some. They've just got too much grip at short tracks. These tires are too wide. You go to Martinsville, says Krusty. Yeah, I was. I know I got I got picked on quite a bit because I know I said I wasn't going to Martinsville, but I ended up going because we had an emergency. They were short staffed on Friday, and some stuff needed to be done on Friday, even though it rained. So I did end up going to Martinsville for the late model race, and a few people there watched the channel, and just about every single one of them, when they met me, said, "I thought you weren't coming," and they were picking on me about it. So I was like, "Yeah." I ate some crow on that one because I really thought I wasn't going, but I ended up getting picked up. So it all worked out, and it was all good. I got my temporary NASCAR license paid for, which was the thing that was really irritating me the most about not wanting to go. I didn't want to give an extra 20 some bucks, but it was paid for. So we got that handled, and everything was all good. Riley Neal was the driver. He did a great job. Didn't make the race, but there was a ton of really good drivers that didn't make the race. So just making the Martinsville race is a good deal. But yeah, I was down there for sure. I had a great time. All the people down there I met, good people, and it was the first half of the race was really good. Second half of the race, the 8 car, he just took off once he got in front of Looney, and it was over with. But if Briscoe can hang out until a caution, that would save him 8 points, avoiding going a lap down there. Says they're def. Indeed, indeed. He was, yeah, Briscoe didn't do anything wrong. He was racing his race. Kyle Busch was racing his race. And unfortunately, those two didn't happen to coincide with a good outcome for the 8 car. At least if the NASCAR media partners really want true playoffs, then don't let non-playoff caliber drivers compete in the remainder of the season. I feel like that's a fair argument to make. NASCAR, real life soap opera, says Crystal Sparkles. Indeed, indeed. There's definitely a lot of people that watch it for that. And even back in the day, there was an element of that. You had the Dale Earnhardt versus Bill Elliott versus Rusty Wallace versus Jeff Gordon. So you always had a little bit of the drama from that too. So it's always been like that. It's just more because there's more avenues for it. There's more media around today than there's ever been. You just get more of that if that's what you want. If you want more of the racing type of stuff, you can go find those avenues. There's more of it out there all the time. But mainstream media does seem to be, I'm not going to say they're doing more of it than anybody, but you're not used to mainstream media being involved in it, but they're doing it because they know that there's a market for it. So they do have segments of their shows dedicated to it now as well. And a lot of people are not used to that that have been watching for a long time. But you have to market to everybody that's going to be an eyeball on whatever you're doing because they're selling commercials and stuff like that. I'm willing to bet we finally get 3 cars upside down in a race this weekend because of the windshield sword blades, as Lovey Barkley. So Lovey Barkley's saying it's going to go the other way. Maybe if the car gets turned the wrong way, it flips. I don't know. It's going to be. I'm going to let it play out and see what happens. But it definitely. I'll say this: it looks horrible. It looks hideous. It's almost as bad as the wicker strip on the roof back in the day. That thing is hideous. What is that? What am I doing here? That's the Jake from State Farm commercial. She sounds hideous. That's what's in my mind right now. Not that you cared. Maybe JGR can help Briscoe not take out guys. Ironically, Hamlin maybe says Napa Racing fan. Who would have thought they would hear this? But in Earth 2, Kyle Larson wins this Sunday, says Escobar. So Escobar is going with Kyle Larson to finish last. I hope not. I hope not. Let's see. Couldn't have interliners. Due to low profile geometry. I want to say the fender vents came after the Mercedes Le Mans flips and the GT3s after Martinborough Nürburgring crash. Hopefully I said that name right. I've been tested and it worked, says Cody. So there you go. Maybe that's the next thing that NASCAR adds. And if you looked at the Le Mans car, Le Monster, that Jimmy Johnson and all those other guys, Mike Rockenfeller, drove over there at Le Mans. That one does have those tire vents, so they do have some experience with it, at least as far as that car goes. Briscoe willing to miss the birth of his kids because he's in the playoffs probably means he's going to fight like heck, not going to go a lap down. But I get it for a KFB fan. I wouldn't like it. Yeah, I like both guys, and I just hated to see Kyle Busch be that close to another win, and then it goes against him again. Just hasn't been a season. And like I said, drivers have seasons like this. 1992, Dale Earnhardt had a season like this where everything went against him. Every once in a while, you just have a season like that. Another thing that bothers me about the playoffs, MVP feels that we need to show points as they run constantly on the leaderboard. So all we see is the top 10. What good is the tracker on the side then? Yeah, like they really don't need to worry about any of that stuff unless somebody wrecks or until the third stage. Like that's the only time I really want to see the update or whatever. NASCAR can pull a Formula One, put the covers on the wheels, and keep air from going in. Says I love you, Barkley. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you could do some type of cover or something like that. Or just design the rims that way. Kyle Busch has been so close but so far away, says PC Gone Rogue. Yeah, it's just been a very frustrating year. And you could see it from him in those comments after the race where he said he was numb. Mr. J saying, do you remember back when Kenny Wallace was in the stacker and Harvick was only 2 to 4 years into his 29? ABC had a show that was sort of pre-drive to survive and showed drivers whole week race plus. Yeah, I do remember that because I know Ward Burton was in it as well. Kyle Busch was in it too. So yeah, that was a great show. if they brought that style of show back, I think that would be great. Can I roll in an El Camino? Says the brain. That would be awesome. I'd love to see an El Camino out there. Maybe that's the future of the truck series. Nothing but sport utes. I bet the short track problem is the rear diffuser, not the tires. But I'm no engineer. It says 1400 horsepower rear diffuser and underbody. Yeah, it could be a combination of both. But definitely, if you look at that rear diffuser, if you get that thing going backwards, I know the trap door comes out or whatever, but it's it's going the opposite direction when you get the thing turned backwards. So, and you can say the same thing about the spoiler too. So it is what it is. The old ABC NASCAR show in the early 2000s that followed drivers around pre-race, home life, and prep, and what they do on and after the race. Says Mr. J. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember that. Yes, sir. Love your channel and your content, bro. Says Krusty. I appreciate you there, Krusty. And I'll try to keep them coming. I didn't see what happened to Josephus. He was in the top 10 most of the race. Then a ball of hair, says Bumstead. So, yeah, according to his radio communications, this is him speaking, not me. He said Briscoe did the same thing to him that he did to the 8 car. So that's the radio communication as to the Carson Hocevar wreck there. So that's the 77's point of view on that one. NASCAR president Phelps said himself, the playoffs are the most legitimate way to crown a champion. Clown statement, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, Steve Phelps is going to say what Steve Phelps needs to say. He is the company, and he's going to give you the company line. I'm going to sit down, and he's paid plenty of good money to do it. So, it is what it is. I'm going to sit on the couch with my 1/18 scale 1999 Dale Earnhardt Senior Goodwrench Monte Carlo this weekend, says Lovey Barkley. That's a score. The 118s are hard to come by. I do like the 118s. I got the 118 of the Corvette that Senior drove, raced version. Is Eric Jones' contract up next season? I don't know, but hopefully he only signed a 1-year deal because I don't know if Legacy Motor Club's going the wrong way. Ever since they become Legacy Motor Club, they've been going the wrong way. So hopefully he can get out of that thing as soon as possible and find a better situation to be in. Nothing against Legacy. I hope Legacy improves, but right now they're not doing good. Don't worry, team. Manager BB and I will be driving Joe Gibbs racing to help Briscoe. That's right. We're going to get it set up for him in the off season so he doesn't have to do all these crazy blocks. Inside joke there. For me, it's hard to enjoy watching a race for what it is, but get ruined by the playoff propaganda as early as the Daytona 500. Yeah, I mean, it's just something NASCAR wants to push. They're into pushing the playoffs, and that's what they're going to push. Does anyone know what was messed up with Larson's car after he hit the wall this past race? Because after that, he said it was he got fixed pretty good, but the car wouldn't go on restarts. He said he had a vibration, so I don't know exactly what that was. They were constantly working on underbody, but yeah, if he couldn't shift, I would imagine something in the transmission linkage probably got messed up. Winning you're in has to go, says Dan Hagan. Are we not calling our drivers for wrecking balls this year? Corey LaJoy gets mentioned when he deserves, but he's not in the same league as John Hunter Nemechek, who seems to get a complete pass. Hey, Dirty Diff, I agree with you 100% there. So Corey LaJoy gets all this heat, but if you look statistically at the numbers, at least last time I looked at it, John Hunter Nemechek has over a 50% crash rate this season. So he's, for whatever reason, he's getting a free pass. He doesn't get talked about the same way that other drivers get talked about, and that's all you can say about it. Have you messed with the Fiat lately? Says one wise guy. I haven't had a chance. I was basically prepping for Martinsville all last week, and then I actually ended up having to go. So I haven't even been up there to where the car is located in 2 weeks. Justin Haley hooking a left on Nemechek was hilarious, says Lovey Barkley. Yeah, that was either the steering locked up or the spotter didn't communicate. I don't know. That was definitely an odd situation right there. The Chastain Bush battle was great at Kansas. Says Napa Racing. It was good. It was good. And make no bones about it. The Chastain pressure from behind is the reason that Kyle Busch felt the pressure that he needed to pass Chase Briscoe in one lap, because he knew if he made any type of mistake there, Chastain was going to pounce on it. So give Ross Chastain a little bit of credit for Kyle Busch feeling that pressure in that moment as well. You like Homestead or Kansas better, says one wise guy. I'm good either way. I feel like both tracks offer great amenities to the fans, and both tracks put on really good races. How about Eric Jones has only one top 10 this season, and that was the 8th in the Daytona 500. Yeah, it's been a rough year, man. He's a great driver, and It's a tough thing to see. Are you going to Martinsville? Says Jake. Yeah, I'll be at Martinsville for the Cup race this year for sure. And also make it where if you get a flat tire, you're not stuck, says Dan Hagan. Yeah, that's something that definitely needs to be worked on. Hopefully, they find a fix for that rather soon, because that's got to be infuriating for a driver when there's nothing wrong with your car, but you're going multiple laps down because of essentially a design flaw in the car. If Ross Chastain wins at Talladega, will he even get interviewed? Says Dirty Death. That's a good question, man. That's a very good question. All right. Looks like we've reached the end of it here. Poll question is going to end up at a 75-25. 75% saying no. NASCAR's new Mohawk strip shark fin thingy will not reduce car flips. 25% saying yes, it will. And all right. We'll check you guys on the next one. Get ready for the next video I'm going to make here. And until then, peace. We will do a pre-race. We will do a pre-race for Talladega, and there will be a post-race. I will be here. All right. Later.